I never told anyone what I whispered to my son the night before his gallery opening. Not until the auction 3 months later when everything finally collapsed. My name is Arthur Chen. I am 69 years old and I spent 40 years building a construction company in Queens, New York, from 1 truck to 60 employees. I retired 5 years ago. I handed the business to my son, Jordan, who sold it 18 months later to pursue something more meaningful. That meaningful thing was a gallery. Modern art. Abstract pieces that looked, to my untrained eye, like accidents. I supported him. I always supported him. I co-signed his lease. I introduced him to my contacts. I attended every opening, every show, every event where he needed bodies in chairs. I thought I was being a good father. I thought presence mattered. I did not know I was being measured. Did not know I was being found wanting. Did not know that 3 months after his biggest opening, he would try to sell me for $10 and call it performance art. Before I tell you what happened that night, leave a comment that says, "Worth," if you believe no parent should ever have to prove their value to their child. There is a particular kind of warmth in a gallery when the lights are low and the wine is cheap and the people are trying to see something they do not understand. I have spent 5 years learning to hear the difference between appreciation and performance, between people who love art and people who love being seen loving art. The sounds are not the same. Jordan's gallery was called The Meridian. A name he chose, he told me, because it sounded aspirational. It was in Brooklyn, in a converted warehouse, with exposed brick and pipes that dripped occasionally during winter. The rent was $12,000 monthly. I paid the first 6 months. I told myself it was an investment. In his future. In our relationship. In the belief that children deserve second chances, third chances, chances without number. The opening in March was for his biggest show yet. A collection called Family Values. He had been working on it for a year. He would not show me the pieces beforehand. He said they were personal. He said I would understand when I saw them. I believed him. Jordan was a good son. I want to say that plainly because everything that follows gets complicated. He was smart. He was charming. He could sell anything to anyone, a skill he learned from me, though he would deny this. He remembered birthdays. He called weekly. He visited monthly, always with wine, always with stories about his successes. I thought these visits were love. I did not understand they were maintenance. Keeping the connection alive for future need. The gallery opening was on a Friday. March 15th. I arrived early, as I always did, to help set up. Jordan waved me off. "Dad, you're a guest tonight. Enjoy yourself." He said this with a smile. I thought it was kindness. I sat in a folding chair near the back. The space filled. Young people mostly. Artists. Critics. Collectors with small glasses and large opinions. Jordan circulated. He was magnetic. He made everyone feel seen. He had learned this from his mother, who died when he was 12. I raised him alone after that. I thought I had done well. I thought I had given him enough. I was wrong about what he needed. Wrong about what he wanted. Wrong about what he thought of me. The trouble started at 9 o'clock. Jordan took the microphone. He thanked everyone for coming. He spoke about the collection. Family Values was about the commodification of domestic labor, he said. The invisible work of parents, the emotional economy of care, the way love becomes transaction. I nodded. I did not understand completely, but I understood enough. I had worked invisible hours for him. I had given without counting. The lights shifted. Jordan gestured to a pedestal near the front. On it was a chair. My chair. The one from my kitchen in Queens. The one I had sat in every evening for 30 years. This piece, Jordan said, is called The Father. It represents the traditional provider. The man who gives money instead of attention. Who builds businesses instead of relationships. Who believes presence is the same as parenting. I sat very still. And tonight, Jordan continued, we're going to explore the true value of this figure. We're going to auction him. Starting bid, $10. I did not move. I thought I had misunderstood. The room laughed. Not cruelly. Performatively. They thought this was art. They thought I was in on it. Jordan pointed at me. Ladies and gentlemen, my father. Arthur Chen. 69 years old. Retired construction magnate. Loves the History Channel. Goes to bed at 9:30. Once described Home Depot as a pretty exciting Saturday. More laughter. I recognized this tone. I had heard it at corporate events, at roasts, at gatherings where men of a certain age were made to feel small so others could feel large. I had never heard it from my son. Who wants him? Jordan asked. $10. Going once. Silence. Not shocked silence. Amused silence. The silence of people waiting for the punchline. Going twice. I stood. Slowly. My knees ached. My chest ached differently. I walked toward the pedestal. Toward my son. Jordan, I said. Stop. He smiled. The smile did not reach his eyes. Dad, it's just performance. Don't be boring. I sat back down. Not because I accepted this. Because I needed to think. The auction continued. No bids. The silence became uncomfortable. People shifted. Looked at phones. Jordan's smile became fixed. He had expected participation. Expected someone to bid ironically, to make a joke, to complete his piece. No one did. Then a voice. From the back. Near the door. $1 billion. The room stopped. Completely. Jordan's microphone feedback squealed. He did not notice. He was staring at the back of the room. I turned. A man stood there. Silver hair. Dark suit. No tie. 60s, perhaps 70s. The kind of man who occupies space without demanding it. Who makes the room adjust to him without appearing to try. I said $1 billion, he repeated. For Arthur Chen. Dinner. One evening. My foundation pays. Jordan laughed. Nervously. Sir, this is performance art. The bid was $10. The billion is, that's not. I don't participate in performances, the man said. I participate in transactions. And I believe Arthur Chen is worth exactly what I offered. Shall we complete this? Jordan looked at me. For the first time that night, he looked at me. Not at his audience. Not at his art. At his father. The man he had just tried to sell for $10. Dad, he said. You know this gentleman? I did not. I had never seen him before. But I stood. Because at 69, I knew the difference between a moment that matters and a moment that passes. I don't know him, I said. But I know serious when I hear it. I walked toward the man. The crowd parted. Jordan did not follow. The man extended his hand. Maurice Hale, he said. Parker Capital Group. I knew that name. Everyone in business knew that name. Private equity. Clean energy. The kind of wealth that did not advertise because it did not need to. Arthur Chen, I said. Retired. Apparently worthless. Maurice smiled. Small. Genuine. Apparently mispriced. He handed me a card. Cream-colored. Minimal. Just his name and a number. My assistant will call tomorrow. We'll schedule breakfast. I don't enjoy performances, Mr. Chen. But I do enjoy conversations with men who know how to absorb a room's laughter without returning it. I went home to Queens. I sat in my kitchen. The chair Jordan had stolen was gone, but I had others. I made coffee. I turned the card over in my hands. I thought about my son. About the gallery. About the 40 years I had spent building something he sold in 18 months. About the love I had given, measured in presents, in co-signatures, in attendance. About the word boring. I had been called many things in my life. Stubborn. Tough. Unsentimental. Never boring. Never by my son. The phone rang at 8:15 a.m. Sharon, Morris's assistant. Efficient. Composed. Breakfast Monday. Upper East Side. No sign outside. Menu without prices. I wore my navy suit. The one my wife had chosen. The one Jordan said made me look distinguished. Maurice was already seated. He stood when I approached. Shook my hand. Eye contact. I'll be direct, he said. I don't enjoy wasting time. Neither do I said. Coffee appeared. Mitchell Green, Maurice said. I put down my cup. I had not heard that name in 11 years. Mitchell Green. My oldest friend. College roommate at Howard, 1974. Both broke. Both ambitious. Both certain the world owed us something. He came to me in 1993. A diner on 45th Street. A napkin covered in numbers. I need $50,000. 6 months. Nobody will touch it. But I know this works. I gave it to him. No contract. No equity. Just a handshake and a wire transfer from an account my second wife did not know about. 6 months later, Mitchell's logistics company had its first contract. 2 years later, a second. Then a third. Then a fourth so large he hired 47 people in 3 months. 15 years ago, he sold his firm. $380 million. I read about it in the Wall Street Journal. I was in Queens, retired, watching television. Mitchell offered to repay me 100 times. I refused. Every time. It was not a loan. It was a bet on a friend. Mitchell told me about you 6 years ago, Maurice said. We were structuring Parker Clean Infrastructure. Mitchell made it a condition. Locate Arthur Chen. Make him an offer. I opened the folder Maurice slid across the table. 15% equity stake. No capital required. My contribution happened 31 years ago. Mitchell's investment, which seeded significant portions of their initial raise, traced directly to my $50,000. Without that, none of what followed happens. The first page had a number with enough zeros to make a 69-year-old man from Queens sit very still. I closed the folder. Why did you bid at the gallery? I asked. You could have called. You had my name. You had Mitchell's connection. Maurice was quiet. Your son put you in a chair and gave a room permission to laugh at you. I watched you absorb it with more dignity than I've seen any man display in 50 years of business. He held my gaze. Mitchell said you were the most quietly powerful man he'd ever met. He said if I ever met you, I should pay attention. He was right. I considered this. One condition, I said. Name it. Jordan has been trying to meet Parker Capital for 2 years. I don't want you to take that meeting. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I want him to know why. Maurice smiled. The first I had seen. I think that can be arranged. 6 weeks later, I put on my navy suit for the 3rd time. Jordan had called Sunday. Casual voice. Dad, random question. You know Maurice Hale? Parker Capital? I made a non-committal sound. I've been trying to get a meeting for 2 years. Nobody gets through. But I heard he's taking meetings now. You don't know anyone who might. Can't think of anyone, I said pleasantly. Right. Yeah. Long shot. A pause. Hey, you should come to dinner soon. I feel like I haven't properly seen you since. He stopped. He knew since when. Just soon. I went to Parker Capital's offices. 43rd floor. 6th Avenue. Sharon met me at the elevator. Mr. Hale will bring you in at the right moment. I waited in a side room. Listened. Jordan arrived at 9:30. Bright. Performance ready. This space is extraordinary. We've admired everything Parker Capital has built. I raised this man, I thought. I built this moment. Maybe those are not unrelated. The meeting began. Morris's voice, measured, curious about Jordan's foundation. Jordan answered with intelligence, with clarity, with real passion. I felt the familiar complicated pride. The pride that sits next to grief of being misunderstood by the person you're proudest of. 22 minutes in, Maurice said, before we go further, there's someone I'd like to bring in. Sharon opened my door. I stood. Straightened my jacket. Picked up my briefcase. The old leather one my second wife hated. The one I'd carried for 22 years. I walked into the conference room. Jordan's face transformed. Recognition. Confusion. Recalculation. Then the expression underneath. The dawning, stomach-dropping understanding that something had been happening he did not know about. Dad, he said. Half volume. Jordan, I said. Pleasantly. Without drama. I sat across from my son. The door opened again. Mitchell Green walked in. My oldest friend. The man I hadn't seen in 11 years. He hugged me in the corridor. Wordless. Everything said between two old friends who watched each other become who they were going to be. Mitchell sat to Morris's right. Looked at Jordan with the calm assessing gaze of a man worth $380 million who remembered being worth nothing. Jordan recognized the name. I watched him understand. The man who built one of the most successful logistics companies in American history. The man who was sitting across from him because of his father's $50,000. Jordan, Maurice said. I want to be transparent. Your father and I are partners. 15% equity. Finalized 6 weeks ago. Established because of a decision he made 31 years ago. He let that sit. That is not a word I use loosely. Foundation. I don't do business with people who can't recognize value in front of them. I've been aware of your outreach for 2 years. I made a decision not to take that meeting. Jordan's eyes were wet. Dad, he said. I had no idea. I know, I said. I want to tell you something. I have never needed you to know what I do quietly. I didn't give Mitchell that money for recognition. I spent 31 years turning down repayment because I wanted to be discovered. I did those things because that is who I am. Quiet. Patient. I leaned forward. But I am 69 years old. And I sat in that chair and 200 people laughed. And you pointed at me and called me boring. It cost me something. I'm not pretending it didn't cost me. Jordan's jaw was tight. His eyes full. So here is what's going to happen. I am going to go home to Queens. I am going to find something at Home Depot genuinely interesting. And you are going to sit with this. Not as punishment. As information about who your father is. About what quiet looks like when it's actually been paying attention all along. I stood. Buttoned my jacket. Your foundation is good work, Jordan. Real work. Keep doing it. But you'll need to find your own investors. That's not cruelty. That's just the correct thing. I put my hand on his shoulder. Briefly. Firmly. The way fathers do when they love someone and are also furious and don't have words for both. I shook Morris's hand. Hugged Mitchell properly. Because at 69, I hug my friends and I don't apologize for it. I walked to the door. Eugene, Maurice said. I turned. Dinner Friday. Only if there are no prices on the menu. He almost smiled. Obviously. I walked out. 43 floors down. Through the lobby. Onto 6th Avenue. New York received me loudly, indifferently, magnificently. In my jacket pocket was a document my accountant described as the kind of thing that changes the shape of a life. 15% of a fund that would reshape an entire industry. My name on it. Arthur Chen. Queens. Retired. Boring. I took the subway home. Made coffee. Sat in my kitchen. For the first time since that Friday night, when my son held up a microphone and offered me for $10, I felt exactly, completely, and without apology like myself. Not boring. Never boring. Just quiet. And the thing about quiet men, the thing Jordan was only now beginning to understand, is that quiet is not the same as absent. Quiet men see everything. Quiet men remember everything. And when they finally decide the moment has arrived, when they button their jacket and pick up their briefcase and walk out of a room they have just rearranged completely, quiet men do not look back. They don't need to. I want to tell you what this experience taught me, because I did not spend 40 years building a business, 31 years waiting for a friend's success, and 5 years supporting a son who sold me for $10, just to have a story. I did it because value is not determined by the person who possesses it. It is determined by the person who recognizes it. Jordan saw a boring old man. Maurice saw someone worth $1 billion for a single dinner. Both were looking at the same person. The difference was what they knew how to see. I learned that children do not owe parents gratitude. But they owe recognition. They owe the effort to understand who raised them, not just what was provided. Jordan gave me presents without attention. He took my support without seeing my sacrifice. He performed love without practicing understanding. That was his failure. Not the gallery. Not the auction. The failure to look carefully at the man who had always been there. Mitchell and I had dinner the following week. The first time in 11 years. We talked for 6 hours. About his children. About his divorce. About the firm he built and sold and the foundation he runs now. About my second wife's death. About Jordan's childhood. About the nights I sat in hospital rooms alone while Jordan ran fevers that scared me more than anything before or since. You never told me, Mitchell said. You never asked, I said. We laughed. Old friends. Old understanding. He asked about Maurice. Serious man, I said. Sees things others don't. He saw you, Mitchell said. Because you told him to. I told him to look, Mitchell corrected. He saw because he knew how. This distinction mattered. I was not discovered. I was recognized. There is a difference. Discovery implies accident. Recognition implies preparation. The ability to see what has always been present. Jordan called me 3 weeks later. Not the casual voice. A different voice. Smaller. More careful. Dad, can we meet? Not dinner. Just talk. We met in a coffee shop near his gallery. He looked different. Less performance. More uncertainty. I've been thinking about what you said. About quiet. About paying attention. He stirred his coffee without drinking. I sold the gallery. The lease. The inventory. Everything. I said nothing. It wasn't real. I was performing being an artist. Performing being successful. Performing having a father I understood. He looked up. I didn't understand you. I didn't try. I used you as material instead of seeing you as person. I nodded. This was recognition. Late. But real. What will you do? I asked. I don't know yet. Something real. Something that requires patience. I want to learn that. From you. If you'll teach me. I considered this. The offer. The request. The reversal. Come to Queens, I said. Saturday. We'll go to Home Depot. I'll show you what genuine interest looks like. Jordan came. We walked the aisles. He asked questions. About materials. About construction. About the business I built and he sold. I answered. Without resentment. Without performance. Just information. Just presence. Just the transfer of knowledge between generations. We had lunch at a diner. He paid. Small thing. But noted. He began working with me. Not for me. With me. On a project. Affordable housing. Using my contacts. His energy. My patience. His vision. My experience. We built slowly. Carefully. Without announcement. Without gallery openings. Without microphones. The first project completed in 18 months. 12 units. Families moved in. Jordan attended the ribbon cutting. He did not speak. He stood beside me. Present. Visible. Quiet. This was different. This was real. This was what I had wanted. Not the recognition. The alignment. The work that mattered. The son who finally saw. Maurice and I became friends. Not partners only. Friends. Dinners. Conversations. The kind that do not need to accomplish anything. He introduced me to his wife. His children. His own complicated history with a father who never saw him. We build what we didn't have, he said once. Or we build precisely because we didn't have it. I understood this. I had built a business because I had nothing. I had supported Jordan because I had lost his mother. I had waited because patience was what I had learned. Maurice and I invested together. Not just in funds. In people. In young men who reminded us of ourselves. Who had ideas and no capital. Who needed someone to bet on them without taking everything in return. We made 5 such bets in 3 years. 3 succeeded. 1 failed. 1 is still building. This is the ratio. This is acceptable. This is how value multiplies. Not through extraction. Through support. Through recognition. Through the quiet confidence that good people, given opportunity, become better. Jordan changed. Slowly. Then completely. He stopped performing. He started building. He learned to measure success in occupancy rates, in family stability, in projects that took years instead of evenings. He learned to be boring. The word he had used against me. He learned it was not an insult. It was a strategy. A way of being that allowed depth without distraction. He met a woman. A teacher. Named Carmen. She was kind. She was patient. She saw him clearly. They married. Small wedding. Queens. Not Brooklyn. Not a gallery. A backyard. My backyard. I walked him to her. Not gave him away. Walked with him. As father. As friend. As someone who had finally been recognized. At the reception, he spoke. Briefly. My father taught me that quiet is not absence. That patience is not weakness. That value is not determined by who sees it, but by who is prepared to see it. I was not prepared for 40 years. I am learning now. He raised his glass. To me. I raised mine. To him. To the work ahead. To the building that continues. I am 72 now. Jordan is 38. We have built 47 units of affordable housing. We have 3 projects in development. We have a foundation, funded by my equity in Morris's fund, that provides zero-interest loans to first-time developers. We have a relationship. Real. Tested. Rebuilt from the damage of the gallery, the auction, the billion-dollar bid that changed everything. I think about that night often. The $10. The laughter. The man in the dark suit who saw what my son could not. I do not know what would have happened without Maurice. Without Mitchell. Without the 31 years of waiting. Perhaps Jordan would have learned anyway. Perhaps not. I know only what happened. What I built. What I preserved. What I finally received. Recognition. Not from the world. From my son. From myself. From the quiet certainty that I had always been worth more than $10. More than $1 billion. Worth exactly what I knew I was worth. Everything I had given. Everything I had been. My wife, Sandra, the second one, the one who died, used to say I was too patient. That I let people take advantage. That I should demand more. She was not wrong. But she was not completely right. Patience is not passivity. It is strategy. It is the confidence that value, real value, will eventually be recognized by someone capable of seeing it. The risk is that recognition comes late. Or never. The risk is that the people you love most are the least capable of seeing you. Jordan proved this risk. He also proved that recognition, when it comes, can rebuild what performance destroyed. I am grateful for both lessons. For the pain and its resolution. For the auction and its aftermath. For the man who bid $1 billion for a dinner with a boring old man from Queens. I never had that dinner. Maurice and I had many dinners. But not that one. The bid was the message. The message was received. The rest was architecture. Building on foundation. Creating what lasts. I tell this story now. Carefully. Selectively. To young men who need to know that quiet is not absence. To old men who need to know that recognition can come late but still matter. To fathers who feel invisible. To sons who do not see. To anyone who has been auctioned, literally or figuratively, and who needs to know that value is not determined by the bidding. It is determined by the quality of the person who recognizes it. I am Arthur Chen. I am 72 years old. I am a builder. I am a father. I am a friend. I am worth exactly what I always was. The price was never the point. The seeing was the point. And finally, after all these years, I have been seen. My name is Arthur Chen. I am 72 years old. I live in Queens. I go to bed at 9:30. I find Home Depot genuinely interesting. I am not boring. I am patient. I am not absent. I am quiet. I am not worthless. I am valuable in ways that took decades to recognize. My son tried to sell me for $10. A man bid $1 billion. The difference between those numbers is not the measure of my worth. It is the measure of two men's ability to see. Jordan learned to see. I learned to be seen. Together, we built something that will outlast us both. Affordable housing. Stable families. A foundation that helps others build. This is the return on $50,000 sent 34 years ago to a friend who believed in numbers on a napkin. This is the return on 40 years of construction, of presence, of love that did not announce itself. This is the return on being quiet in a world that rewards noise. If this story meant something to you, leave a 2 in the comments so I know you stayed with me through the whole thing. And if you know someone who needs to hear it, share it with them. Some messages find the people who need them.